Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer. You know, when I was a kid, I had to memorize the Gettysburg Address and recite it in front of my entire class. I did okay, but I forgot the zip code. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 Civil War games of all time. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so let me go ahead. First of all, I want to talk about a few honorable mentions. Testifier, Bull Run, 1861, how many die you rolled to kind of determine your actions, and you went with that during that 1861 battle. Border States, which I just played here not too long ago, is kind of a good kind of abstracted area control game in which you're kind of fighting battles, but then you're kind of moving the border states closer to your side, the Confederacy or the Union. And then finally, Iron and Oak. Now, this is a GMT naval war game I played 10 plus years ago that was a lot of fun. It was just kind of a basic war game on a map with counters, and you're going along trying to battle each other in the various ports and coasts of the Confederacy. Really enjoyed it, Iron and Oak. And then let's go ahead and jump right into my list here. My number 10 was it's kind of a sequel of sorts to one of the honorable mentions. This is Clash of Wills, Shiloh, 1862. Now again, this was a game where you are battling each other, the Confederacy and the Union. One of you, I think, one of the generals was Johnston or Beauregard, and the other one is Grant. And again, you're rolling die to determine kind of your actions, but then you're moving, you're trying to interdict, you're trying to capture certain spaces. But it's kind of a good light war game based on the battle, based on the what happened there at Bull Run, or pardon me, at Shiloh in 1862. Really enjoyed it. Fairly light game, but again, enjoyable and a lot of fun. So that was from Mayfair Games. That was Clash of Wills, Shiloh, 1862, and that was my number 10. My number 9 was a game. Again, it's more of an abstract game, but it was Lincoln. And Lincoln was kind of a deck destruction game. As you played cards, in order to do certain things, you would actually have to get rid of cards. And of course, as you're moving, you're trying to capture different locations in different cities. It was more and more difficult. The Confederacy, you've got an intervention track. You're trying to get England to come in on your side, and the Union's trying to keep them out. But you're burning these cards. You're burning through these cards. It reminds me a lot of Struggle for Europe, 1939-1945 by Worthington. It has that same kind of deck destruction thing there. But this, just a really fun Civil War game. So this is Lincoln. That is number 9, and that was from, I believe it was from Worthington and PSB Games. So my number 8 is an area control game from GMT Games, and this is Fort Sumter. It's a crisis game. They'd actually released one other, which was the Red Flag Over Paris, which is about the Paris Commune, and I think they got one coming out about Czechoslovakia in World War II, if I remember correctly. But here you're dealing with the beginning of the Civil War, and again you're playing cards, but you're also setting cards aside for kind of the end thing. You're trying to control different locations of the country, different sectors of the low country, different crisis points, and you're kind of burning these cubes as you're going through it. But it was a really fun design. It's light and it's a relatively quick game. But that is Fort Sumter. That is number 8. That is from GMT Games. My number 7 is a game I played just maybe a year and a half ago. This was Hold the Line, the American Civil War from Worthington. And this was essentially, it was like a commands and colors game, but you didn't have cards. Again, you would roll die to determine how many actions you got, and then you could spend them wherever you have. And you have little blocks on the counters, and as you're moving your guys, you're attacking with infantry, with cavalry, with artillery. And you kind of have more control than a commands and colors game because you're not limited to the cards. But like I say, it still has the same feel. It still very much has that same feel. Played this a few times with Zach, and we both absolutely just really enjoyed it. But this is Hold the Line, the American Civil War. That is from Worthington, and that is my number 7. Now, my number 6 is probably the biggest war game on the list, and it's a game that I really enjoyed, but I didn't get it to the table that often because it was fairly big and heavy. And this is the U.S. Civil War from GMT Games. So the U.S. Civil War, it's a grand game of the map of the eastern United States, with rail lines, navigable rivers, fortified areas. And this plays like it's a hex and counter game. And it's fun and it's interesting and it's really, really well done. But like I say, I played it. I think I played a full game once, and then kind of fooled around with it a little bit more. And I kind of myself tried to play, played it back and forth as both sides. But it was too hard to teach, too hard to get to the table. So I ended up giving this away when I left for Texas. I think I purged it. But it's a fun game, and I kind of miss it, and I kind of wish I found people to play this one with. Big, epic war game. This is U.S. Civil War. That is my number 6. That was from GMT Games. Now, my number 5 is a lot like my number 6, but it's not as heavy, not as big, and plays a lot less time. It's a lot easier to learn and to teach. And this is A House Divided by, it was Mayfair Games released this. And I think, if memory serves, I think Alan Emmerich designed it. But essentially, this is a Civil War game. Again, a grand Civil War game with navigable rivers, rail lines. But you have the armies that you're moving around, and it just plays like a grand Civil War game, I played this a few times, and I've still got it. And I keep thinking I want to break it out again and play it when I got some time. But it's fabulous. It's phenomenal. If you're looking for that grand Civil War experience, but you don't have a lot of time to invest in a heavy game, I think you'll really get a kick out of this one. This is A House Divided. That is number 5. That is from Mayfair Games. My number 4 is a game I just played recently, and it's a fairly light game, but it's also a lot of fun, and it's fairly chancy. But this is Gettysburg Solitaire, again from Worthington. Gettysburg Solitaire is a solitaire game. You're playing the Confederacy on, I think, day 1 and day 2 of the battle, and you are attacking your enemies. You are, you're rolling a die to figure out what your attack is, or rather, you're choosing your attack. You're rolling the die to figure out what the enemy's attack is. You got to resolve that. Then you resolve your attack. And it goes back and forth like that. But it's super quick, 20 to 30 minutes tops. You got to have a pencil and a die, and you play through the book, and you play through them, play through different adventures there. And it's really a lot of fun, and I love these solitaire book war games because it really plays out a story. You really get a sense of the story of the battle. Now, having said that, there's a lot of chance in these games. The die rolls are sometimes unforgiving, so there's a super lot of chance in these games, but they're also super fun. Really like them, and Gettysburg Solitaire, I think it's probably only second in these book war games to Waterloo. But that is Gettysburg Solitaire from Worthington. That is my number 4. My number 3 is a game, again from Worthington, but this is Chancellorsville 1863. Chancellorsville 1863, it's really cool because the beginning of the game, you each have a section of the board you put up a divider on where you essentially take hidden movements with some of your units. So you don't know how the other guy's deploying. Now, there comes a point in the battle where you just get rid of those because you can see where everything's happening. But it's cool in that early phase of the game just how much of that battle is hidden. And so you do that. But you've each got various core, and you're knocking down the core strength of the battle as they attempt to hold their objectives or take their objectives. And it's a lot of fun. It's dice, you're rolling die, you're rolling 2 die, you're seeing kind of if you can get, doubles and stuff like that. Really, really good game. And I like it because, again, it's not too long, it doesn't wear out its welcome, it's just the right length, and it really scratches an itch. So this is number 3, Chancellorsville 1863, and that is from Worthington. My number 2 game here it's a game that I bought it, maybe around 2000, and then I subsequently got rid of it. I gave it to Zach, and then I think I bought another edition of it, and I think I ended up getting rid of that just because I never got a chance to play it, but I really like it. And I keep thinking I should, I think it's out of print now, but I keep thinking I should see if I could find a copy. But this is Battle Cry. Now, Battle Cry is a commands and colors game, meaning you play the cards that allow you to attack in the center or on the flanks. It's really good. It's simple. This was the first Commands and Colors game I ever played. I think it was the first Commands and Colors game they made, if I'm not mistaken. But it was super fun. I couldn't believe how much fun this was. I remember when I first got it, Zach and I started playing. We said, let's just play a game. We were getting tired. We're getting ready to go. So let's just play a game. So we played a game. I said, let's play another one. And we played through that, and I'm like, let's play another one. And even though we were tired, we were ready to call it a night, I think we did like 7 games, because we just couldn't get enough of it. It was so much fun. Again, you're playing cards, you can move on those flanks in the center, you're rolling die, you're trying to knock down your enemy's figures, trying to knock them off the board. There have been many Commands and Colors games since. Some of them arguably are better games, but this one always has a special place in my heart because it was my first, and I just really super love it. That is Battle Cry. That was my number 2, and that is from Avalon Hill Hasbro. So now, my number 1 Civil War game of all time. This is a game that, again, I bought maybe about 20 years ago in that time period, and I played this game a ton. I had a companion Napoleonic game that I didn't play that one nearly as much, even though I really liked it, just because I had a hard time getting it to the table. But I played the Civil War one just constantly. And this is the American Civil War from Eagle Games. Now, this was a Glenn Drover design. And Glenn Drover's still killing it, right? He just put out Mosaic, which is a great civilization building game, and he's put out a lot of other great games since. But American Civil War is so much fun because it's one of these games where you've got these armies on the board. Again, a grand Civil War game, railroads, navigable rivers, etc., etc. And you're moving your armies on the board to different locations, different cities. Now, when you actually get into a battle, you would transfer all your units to a battle board. And you had, of course, you know, your center, your flanks, your rear, and you're kind of shifting units on the board, because as soon as one of your front lines, you know, one of your flanks or your center, as soon as it fell, the battle was over and you lost. And so it was a real fun game of transferring games from a battle board from the strategic board to the battle board, and the battles were always very, very, very fun. Again, I played this game a ton back in the day. In fact, I remember, I was playing this at least in 2001, so it's been well over 20 years. But I still got it. Haven't played it in a long time. I'll bet it's been at least 10 years since I played it. That can't be allowed to continue. Maybe not that long. But it's been a long time, and I need to play it again, because it was a lot of fun. It was almost like an Axis and Allies, but a little more nuanced, a little more fun. There's a intervention track, or the British going to intervene. Lincoln could issue the Emancipation Proclamation. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, historical stuff in there, but I really enjoyed it. So that is the American Civil War from Eagle Games. That is my number 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on Facebook, or on Twitter. You know, I love interacting with you in the comments. Do you like these games? Do you not like them? Have you played them? Do you want to play them? Let me know. I'm really eager to hear that. But please, 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 if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We really want this channel to grow. We really want it to be all that it can be. So I hope you do that. Also, please check out my other channel, Cody Carlson, PhD, where I talk about military history and books on history. I post some of my lectures on there. It'd mean a lot to me if you'd subscribe to that channel and check it out as well. I may post this video on Board Game Geek in the forums, and you can give us a thumb, a comment. We'd appreciate it. You know, can I tell you a blonde joke? I want to tell you a blonde joke. Don't cancel me. I'm going to tell you a blonde joke, okay? So a blonde walks to a police station. She wants to be a policewoman. She goes in for an interview, and the guy starts asking her some general knowledge questions, the interviewer. He says, who shot Lincoln? And she says, well, I don't know. I'd have to go home and work it out. And the interviewer says, okay, fine. So she goes home. When she gets home, phone rings. It's her mom. Her mom says, oh, how did the interview go? And she goes, well, I'm not so sure, but they've already got me working on a case.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I've been dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
That just really sucks.